Who's Jay's phone?
Well,
Hi, Felicia.
hi, this is Felicia. How are you doing?
Good.
Good,
Your
how are
Jay's
you?
phone?
Excuse me?
Are you the call-in user or Jay's phone?
No, I'm calling user, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's my sound. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you okay, Michael.
Okay, doke.
Just like a Verizon commercial.
All right, I'm going to mute.
Ashley, do you know who Jay's phone is?
I don't. I was just looking through the list of who I sent the invite to. No, I don't see anybody that I know for sure it would be.
Either
Hey, Bill. How are you?
Jackie's early, get it? And
Jackie,
Actually, I'm almost right on time. Am I not?
he's being a smart aleck.
I know, Bill.
yes, for some time now, actually.
I know.
Yeah.
Hasn't been bad though. It has not been bad.
Oh, thanks. You just jinxed us both. Yeah. But, well, not at my end either, but
Thank you.
yeah.
There's our answer to Jay's iPhone.
Oh, is that me?
No, John Ludwig.
Oh, John.
The name changed.
Uh-huh.
I think Bill froze.
Bill, oh, McKenna.
Yeah. Either that
Well,
or
you
he's
know what-
really good at staying still.
You know what that means, Bill Kemble?
What is it?
Motion to adjourn.
Second? Yeah. Cool.
I get to
Beautiful.
talk first.
All right, we'll let you talk first, Michael.
Okay. We don't have a quorum yet.
Are
No,
you
I
saying,
don't know where anybody is.
are you saying the board has no decorum?
I have no comeback for that. They're gonna have to speak for themselves.
And given the opportunity, they will. I'm going to mute now.
Thank you, Bill.
You're
Have
welcome.
a good night. And let's pray the Yankees win.
Yeah. If they win, we should do all the meetings on Zoom.
Sounds good to me.
At least,
At least until the playoffs are done and we win the championship.
I love the way you think.
Who are the Yankees playing tonight? I forget.
Baltimore.
Oh, okay.
Orioles?
I-
If we don't beat the Orioles, we're in bad shape.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Oh, you had trouble beating a minor league team this weekend, past weekend.
yeah, well, yeah. All right, Richard can stay muted.
Richard, we need you to cheer us on. Rah, 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 Yankees all the way.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I lost track. How are they doing? Because the season's almost over, right? Are they wild card or don't we know?
We're hoping.
Okay,
We're hoping.
I'll keep hoping with you.
There you go.
There are about 3 teams who actually do not want to be wild cards, and they're all working hard to lose it.
That's true. That is true. Yeah.
Well, the
It's the same
Yankees
in
got what, 13 in a row, though. I mean, they had a good stretch.
Yeah,
there
but
for a
then they
bit.
lost like 13 in a row.
Oh, no.
It feels more like 26. And I'm gonna mute now because this conversation has gone down a rabbit hole.
Bill's getting back on. His computer froze, so we had to reset it.
Oh dear, that happens.
So who are we waiting for? Reggie
Reggie.
and
Reggie,
Lauren?
Lauren,
Lauren,
I did see
I saw
on.
Lauren. I saw
Lauren,
Lauren, but then
He
I just
must
lost
have
him.
kicked off. Yeah, he's
My
not
other
on anymore.
geezer friend?
Lauren has a new computer, so I'm sure he's being taxed. So
Ah.
Well, a new computer always sounds like a good idea, but doesn't always turn out to be such a good idea. Well, we hope to get Lauren back and we hope to get Reggie.
where's Bill? Coming back on, right?
Yeah, he had to reset his computer. It froze.
We have some tree committee people here. Hi, Cindy.
Hello.
I see Michael is on, although I don't see him in the frame there.
He said once he spoke that we were free to leave.
All of us?
He said motion to adjourn was up fine with him.
Okay, yay.
Yeah.
Well, I think tree committee is the main event, though. I took a peek at the agenda. Hi, Gay. How are you? How are you doing?
Hey, good.
So
There's Michael.
Bill said, tell Maria Elena to start the meeting, read the announcement, and let the tree committee start their presentation.
Oh, now I have to switch over to the agenda. Hang on. Let's see here. Updated. Okay. So the public be heard? That's do we wait on that and do
Yes.
the present? Okay.
End of the meeting. Yep.
End of the meeting. So just start with be it resolved.
Oh, the presentation. I think it starts with a presentation from the
Oh, we
tree
have to do
committee.
the tree committee presentation to the town board, 20 minutes. Okay. So who do we have from the tree committee?
Michael Veach, we've got Gay Leonard here, and Cindy Murrow could be calling in here. I'm not quite sure.
She's
I've
there.
seen
Oh,
her.
there's Cindy. Oh, okay. Do we have a quorum? Is everybody, we got
Well,
enough?
We do not, in fact, apparently have a quorum of the town board.
Is
Although
Reggie
the
not
tree-
there? Is
but the
Reggie
tree-
there?
I don't see Reggie.
I see a
No,
call-in
we do
user.
not. We do not have a quorum. No.
But
However,
we're not, we are being recorded and we're not making any decisions.
Right.
Are you asking for decisions, Michael? If you're asking for
No,
decisions,
well, no, we're just making a presentation and some recommendations. So, and requests. I'm happy to begin. Just wanted to let the town board.
Michael, could you hold 1 second? I'm not sure about this.
Okay.
Ashley, could you ask Bill if we can continue?
I'll make my coffee.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna
we'll be
grab
No,
right back.
don't go that far away.
I'm gonna grab my cell phone and try to give Reggie a call and find out if we can, find out what time he's gonna be able to join.
Ashley, can we begin without a quorum? Did Bill say?
He did not, but I can call him back. He said he's having some internet issues, so hold on 1 second.
Yeah, I'm calling Reggie.
Lauren just came in also.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Then we can go.
now you have a quorum.
Yeah, hang on a sec, Reggie. Yeah, I'm on, Richard's on. Bill is having trouble getting Lauren, getting on. Lauren was on and then he
Lauren
got
is on,
dropped off
Lauren.
and then he's back. So we do have a quorum for the meeting right now because we have Lauren, Richard and me. Are you able to get on or what's? Is it an internet problem, or are you not being accepted to the room by the host? Okay, yeah, just so I'll let everybody know, Bill is not on yet. Bill is trying to get in as well. So I'll let everybody know that you're working on it. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Is Lauren on?
Connectivity
Lauren's
issues for Reggie. He's
Okay.
trying. So Reggie's trying, has connectivity.
Do you want to go forward if there's a quorum then?
Yeah, Michael can go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much for having us. Everybody's having trouble with Verizon or one thing or another with the internet, so I'm not surprised. The tree committee wanted to come before the town board just to give a brief update of where we're at after roughly 8 years of being a tree committee here in the town of Woodstock. Talk just briefly about our history, talk about a couple of initiatives we want to move forward with, and make a couple of recommendations to the town board. We also have a couple of issues to bring up at the towards the end of the presentation that we would like your help with. This is the 5th year of the Woodstock Tree Committee being a tree city, or the town of Woodstock being a tree city, and the Woodstock Tree Committee is basically responsible for that happening, and we maintain it every year. This year, as a result of the 5-year level, we are eligible to apply for and have applied for a $500 grant from Tree City to plant. We're proposing five new shade trees in the Hamlet area. Cindy Murrow has written that grant application, and Bill has signed off on it, and that's gone in. There's a very good chance this is going to happen. The goal of the tree committee right from the onset was to not only maintain existing large shade trees within the urban, we call it the urban forest or the urban canopy, but also to promote the planting of new trees that are going to grow for a future generation and provide shade, and many other things. The purpose of one of the purposes of this discussion was to again publicize the fact that businesses historically and well documented increase their business by planting trees in front of their business. There's a certain mindset we've run into here in town where some business owners who should have trees in front of their businesses claim that the tree will hurt business. People won't see their sign or something along those lines. Where in fact, the studies have shown just the exact opposite. When a tree stands in front of a business, humans are instinctively, our eyes are drawn, believe it or not, to the tree. It's something, it's involuntary, something we don't have any control over. So we're here as a tree committee to seek the town board support in promoting basically what we're calling a plant out of the town, where a plant out, pardon me, I don't know who's talking, but a plant out of trees within the Hamlet area, running through to Bearsville, running up 375, if possible, Rock City Road. These are the areas where the trees are regulated by town law, and we've lost a lot of the big ones just in the 7-8 years that the tree committee has been active here. And we'd like to see those trees replaced. And we, in some cases, have had very good luck getting new trees in, memorial trees in particular. We've had some pretty good luck with that. But we have run into some other problems with certain businesses. And we're here tonight to kind of let the town board know that we really would like to, we'd like to, you know, move forward with this plan. You know, you had the Chamber of Commerce here a couple of weeks ago wanting to spruce up the little park in the middle of town. The tree committee wants to spruce up the whole town. I mean, we can do it. It can be done. And it can only add not only to the beauty, but also to the economy, the environment, you know, habitat. I mean, there are just so many reasons to have more trees. We work without a budget, and I'm here tonight to ask for a small budget to be placed in the budget this year, somewhere in the vicinity of $1,000. Now, I don't know yet whether that money is going to be spent or not, but you know, things do come up during the year. It would be good for the town tree committee to have $1,000 if a tree has to go in, or if a stump has to come out, or something along those lines. We can make very good use of that kind of money. So this is a formal request. You're all going to get an email from the committee after this meeting, probably tomorrow, with bullet points and photos. We're going to include photos that will show you dramatically what the town looked like 8-10 years ago and what it looks like today, and how many of the large trees along Tinker Street, Mill Hill, going out to Bears, they're gone. A lot of these big trees are gone. We're also recommending, if the town has not already done it, to purchase a stump grinder for the highway department. The town seems to have a habit of cutting trees down and leaving the stumps. And this is not something that the tree committee advocates for. I get contacted, I get emails, I get phone calls from people wondering why all the branches were cut off that spruce in front of the community center at our request because it was dead. And why is it that this thing is still standing looking like, you know, I don't know what, but so, you know, it's important that the tree committee brings a lot of experience to the table for the town board to act with, and for the supervisor. We're doing this strictly as volunteers. We really appreciate and would appreciate, when recommendations are made, that they be followed up, and in some cases they are, in some cases they aren't, and that's a whole other issue. Having a stump grinder in the highway department would be a good thing, and perhaps there is a stump grinder that is a share with another town, but the whole issue should be looked into. We've got stumps right now that need to be removed, and they're just sitting and
Need more light? No,
thanks. While we're on the highway department, we're also recommending that at least one person from the highway department who shows an interest be paid to take training for proper maintenance of trees, proper care of trees, how to cut branches so that trees don't later become infected and die off. I think it would be really handy for the town to have somebody on the highway department or the maintenance crew that can handle a chainsaw and knows what they're doing, and sort of a mini arborist that would be on the payroll. Be aware, be advised that there is something, and Cindy probably knows better than I what it is, but there is something killing off pine trees. And you'll notice outside the Como, as you walk towards the parking lot and you look north, you'll see a grove of pines that are very large that have died. There's nothing left except their skeletons. And the town should be advised and forewarned that this is apparently spreading, and this may require more or a much larger budget for tree removal going forward, especially as these trees die along our streets and roadsides where they can fall or drop branches and cause problems. I'd like to turn it over to Cindy, who has a couple of things she wanted to add to the discussion, and then I'll circle back maybe and I'll give some closing thoughts. Maybe Gay has a few comments too. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I do.
Okay.
You want to go first? You can go first, Gay. I don't have a
Go ahead.
list.
Okay.
Go ahead, Gay. What do you have to say?
Okay. I want to say a bunch of things. I think the town really needs to step up to the plate when it comes to tree issues in town. Cumberland Farms has been an ongoing issue for 3-4 years. And the town's really not doing anything about their own property. We provided the town with a list in 2018, which included standing dead trees at the lower Como property that were not taken care of. And I see the town is not doing any maintenance for their trees, both the ones on town property and the ones, that belong to somebody else. I think the tree committee really needs some kind of backup. It's not enough to just say, oh, yes, we'll take care of it sometime. We really need something from the building department or whatever that is going to back up when we go to a commercial property and say, you're messing up, you're killing this tree. And they say, oh, whatever. And they kill the tree. And that's the end of the story. I feel very disappointed that the town, in the form of the planning board, the building department, et cetera, do not back us up. And so it's very hard to present, like to Cumberland Farms or other businesses, when they know we're not going to have any teeth. That's what I have to say.
All good?
Yep, that's my 2 bits.
Okay. Hi, this is Cindy Muro. I've been on and off the tree committee for the past 30 years, actually. And I've been planting trees along and in the town of Woodstock for the past 30 years. And now I'm starting to see some of those trees that I've planted being killed, which is a little disappointing. So yeah, I would like to know, who it is that we can come to when we need to be backed up. And I guess the only other point, we've applied a bunch of years in a row for the big New York State, the DC tree grant. And a lot of times, for different reasons, we don't get it. But one of the issues, one of the things that they point to when we review that grant is that that our tree law only protects trees on the certain main drag that are 8 inches in diameter or more. And that if we do plant new trees, they're never 8 inches in diameter when they're planted. So by law, those trees are not protected until they're big. And so mainly my question is, and maybe somebody knows the answer to this right off the bat, is if we want to adjust that tree law to protect new trees that we've planted, who do we speak to?
That would be the town board that would amend the tree law.
Okay, because we can never get any money for a tree survey or a big amount of trees or a big study. We can never get a big amount of money with a tree law as weak as the tree law we have. And it's probably doesn't needs to be completely rewritten, but there's just a few things on there that
Let
are
me-
really,
I was in on the review of the grant, and let me just add to what Cindy is saying. We were told bluntly by the head of the DEC Forest Department that they would not give us a penny if we would not commit to protecting the new trees that we had planted. That was it. I mean, bottom line.
When
So
was it, when was this message relayed?
this was
yeah, just this
last
last,
round.
after the last round of grants that
Mhm.
we applied for was reviewed. We asked for a review of our application, and that was,
Right.
that was a big issue for them. So we can pursue that, I suppose.
Do you have a name of the person who said that? Because I'd love to have a conversation with them to get a better sense of exactly what they're looking for.
I not off the top of my head, but I'm
We've
sure
got it. Yeah.
we could find it for
We
you. But I
could
mean,
dig that up.
it
She's
does
new up
make
there, yeah.
sense. It does make sense if we just, in the past, every year we plant a few trees, and those trees are generally 2.5 inch to 3 inch caliper when we plant them. So it's going to take a while to get to be 8 inches. And when you have new people coming in to new businesses, and they want to do what they want to do to the property, and we've planted trees there, there's legally there's no teeth in that law. So we will definitely look up who we had the conversation with and get back to you about that. In the meantime,
She's new up there. Yeah.
I would
So,
think,
I mean-
however, it's not a difficult process, Bill, to just simply amend the tree law to that effect. I know there's some paperwork and some legal stuff involved, but it's a fairly simple thing to do.
yeah.
And maybe,
I'd just like to have the information of what they feel is deficient in our law, so that we're aiming the changes in that direction.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, fine.
Well,
I just-
It's easy though.
Specifically, it's the girth of the trees,
Right.
the minimum girth of trees to be protected.
Mhm.
Because they said, well, what if we give you $10,000 to plant 3 inch caliper trees? And the law says it only protects trees that are 8 inches or more.
Right.
Then it's a long time that they're not protected.
It stopped us right in our tracks, right there. That just that alone killed any chance of us getting a grant.
And it may be possible that we amend the law in such a way that we're not protecting all, we could leave it at the 8 inches, but then any new plantings might get the same benefit that the 8 inch tree. So there's a couple of different ways we could look at that.
I would circle around and talk to Kingston, for example. They're planting a bunch of trees this year with grant money that they got from the state. They got the big grant. Maybe find out what their tree law is doing to protect those new plantings.
Right.
And there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. We can model it up. Yeah. And whatever they're doing is totally acceptable to the state.
Mhm.
And we should do what we can to try to
mimic that.
Mimic or emulate. I like the word emulate a little bit. Respect and honor their leadership, or something along those lines. But
yeah, I do have a couple of questions, if I may. So one question is, and Michael, as you talked about, and thank you for what the tree committee does, by the way, because it's nice to having a group, people, I think a lot of us, most of us love the character of Woodstock, and the open space, the rural character, the trees are a huge part of that. So first of all, thank you for what you're doing and the improvements you're looking to make. So thank you for that. As you talked about your plan of planting trees, 375 and Rock City Road and different places in the protected areas. My question is, who actually owns the property where you're going to put them? Because it seems that if the property owner wants the tree in their yard, that's kind of a win-win. If you're gonna put trees placed and say, well, we have jurisdiction even though it's somebody else's property and they don't want the tree there, then we have a conflict. So are you planting trees on people's properties and getting their agreement first, or how does that work for these places you want to plant?
Well, I think the first step would be to go back and look at historically where some of these trees were located. And then determine whether these trees are in the right of way, whether the town can plant them without the owner's permission. These are legal questions that need to be looked at and have not been looked at yet by the town or the committee. But I think that and we're going to send you some pictures showing you historically what some of these streets look like, and Richard can attest to what they look like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And what we're proposing to do is to start there. The incentive for businesses to plant the trees, as I said early up at the beginning of this, is that, and we will provide the information that'll back us up, the trees actually bring more business. Now, I don't know how plainer can you get talking to a business person with a store when you say you're going to get more customers because it's been studied and it's scientifically proven, okay? Because you have a tree or 2 trees or 3 trees in your front yard.
Yeah.
With the town's support, with the chamber's support, okay, it looks like the chamber has gotten a lot of activity this year with over 100 members. We're going to give a presentation to the chamber as well this fall. And, the goal here is to get everybody on the same page, thinking along the same lines. We want to improve the community. We want to build back the urban canopy. And if there's some legal issues that have to be straightened out, we hope we can utilize the town's attorney to work out details. But it's a win-win all the way around for everybody, homeowners, the town, the economy. Tourists don't come here to see empty, lots in front of storefronts. They really don't. They come here to see nature. And, I think I think that the tree committee's on the right track totally with this.
Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Laura.
Yeah, I went quite fine. So the other thing I think would be helpful though is you get on the same idea of you want to plant a number of trees in those areas that you mentioned, Rock City Road, 375, etc. It would be good if you, when you send the email with all the pictures, what it looked like before and what it's looking like today, it would be very helpful, I think, to have a map that said, like how many trees are you thinking of 375 and whereabouts you're going to sprinkle them along. You're going to put them by the golf course, in the hamlet. You're going to put them in front of businesses where to replace trees that came out that should never have come out, right? So it would be good to have a map that indicated.
Well, that's the study. That's the study that we are going to conduct, and we want. It's called a plant out plan, and that's what we are going to develop and come back and show.
Okay.
It's specifically where, for example, I know that there's some talk right now about planting a tree on Mill Hill, and Bill has offered to give us a little bit of help with the property owner. And, maybe we can get a tree back in there to start growing to replace the huge tree that was taken out, 6 years, 7 years ago. I mean, it may be a painstaking process here, but the more of us that are cheerleading for it and are on the same page for it, including the town board and the chamber, backed up by the, building department willing to enforce the tree law. I mean, we all have to work together. We're a team, and it's a concerted effort. It's not just 5, tree advocates going out there. We should all be, singing from the same choir book.
Yeah, well, I agree. And then the other thing I will say, though, getting back to in a perfect world, the places you want to plant trees, the property owners will agree they want the trees. It's a win-win in that case. If the property owner doesn't really want the tree, they're not going to, you want the property owner to help you take care of the tree, right? Everyone wants the trees to live. So I would think that hopefully when you do the build out plan, you maybe start out with a build out plan and hopefully gets modified based on, are the property owners embracing these trees? And if so, that's wonderful. You would hope they would, but I think it's good to kind of gather a lot of information, and trying to slam dunk a tree on somebody's property who says, no, don't put that tree here. To me, I just see trouble in general.
our experience so far has been, for the most part, that the store owners are okay with a tree as long as they don't have to pay for it. A free tree is welcome most of the time. We have a couple of store owners that don't want any trees. They still think that the tree is going to block their sign or something, which is, you know, ridiculous. But so going forward, I mean, if we can develop the plan, we get the backing of the chamber, backing of the town, go back to the state. There was no round of grants this year. I expect there's going to be a round next year. If we can be ready for next year with a plan and with partnerships, they're really big on that. They're really big on having support from the community for these projects. That helps us to get the grant. So the more support we get for going forward with this, and we're here tonight to say, look, you know, we're asking for you to get on board with this, and we're gonna build it up. So
I agree. I have more stuff, but I know Richard and Reggie want to go, so
I just have a quick question. The trees that you would want to put in front of businesses, or if it's someone's residence, who would pay for the upkeep, or if there is something that happens to the tree over the years, if there's maybe a limb that needs to be cut, or, you know, a tree, I don't know, a tree comes down or something, like who's responsible for that cost, for any maintenance or any potential future damage?
well, under the tree law in the town of Woodstock, that tree, if it's within a certain parameter, which is 20 feet from the center of the road, and it's over a certain diameter, the property owner is legally responsible for that tree, okay? They can't cut it down without the town board's permission. If they kill the tree, they're liable for $1,000 fine. You know, we've had situations just since the tree committee has been going where trees have literally been killed, and you know, so it's not just a make believe kind of thing here. It's a real thing happening out there. But I would hope that if a tree is growing and contributing to someone's local economy or someone's environment, or cleaning the air, or helping cool their house, or, you know, any number of advantages that having a tree is going to bring, that the very least they could do is to, you know, take care of it. You know, I mean, it's
sure. I'm just thinking, the only reason I add it just because I was wondering if you had any pushback around that, and I was just curious about it. But then thinking that the cost, again, I'm certainly in favor of what you're talking about, but just saying that the cost to trim a tree, or so, I mean, it really gets expensive. So
Central Hudson will take care of anything that's going to be close to the power lines, you can bet, at no cost to the owner.
I think it's 15 feet though, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to follow up on that, I'm spending a big chunk of money to move a tree on Saturday on my own property. And I've got a guy coming from Albany with a gigantic piece of equipment that's going to pick up a Japanese maple and replant it in another part of my property. I mean, just to save the tree, you know. It happens to be a valuable tree. It's worth saving. And I think that, you know, I think frankly, all trees have a value. So it's education. It's getting people to understand what, you know, that opening up shop in Woodstock carries with it a certain community responsibility, or a certain, you know, there's a certain give back. I think it's not just all, it should not all be just take. And I'm very excited about the Chamber of Commerce looking like, you know, there's some new blood, new life. They look like they really want to give back a lot of good energy to the community. We'd like to partner with that energy and promote planting trees.
Do you have a date to go talk to them, Michael?
I don't have a date yet, no. No, it's definitely on the tree committee's plan.
Okay.
To meet with
Cindy,
them.
did you have a question, Cindy?
I just had a comment in regards to the maintenance of trees. Interestingly, if you ride up and down Tinker Street and Mill Hill Road, there are a few, there's a bunch of really significant, huge trees. One being the one in front of Joshua's, the sycamore in front of Joshua's. There's a huge silver maple just past there on the other side of the road. And then down on the upper part of Mill Hill Road, also some huge significant maple trees that the property owners have maintained. You can see they're meticulously maintained. And you never hear a peep from those people who own those trees. They love those trees and they take care of them. And then there's you know, some newer tenants in town who've come and had beautiful trees on their property and damaged them all to the point of death. And they're the ones that are whining now because their trees are dying and you know, dead branches have to be cut out all the time. So, you know, I think it behooves, you know, us and the planning board to make sure that when new tenants come into town, they understand how to protect the trees that they have, because they clearly do not. Yeah.
And the committee is here as a resource for those people to tap for free. I mean, we have advised a number of homeowners and businesses and the town on tree issues, you know, maintenance, planting, species that are recommended. I mean, we're here, you know, Cindy has a vast knowledge that, you know, very few people in this community have. And we're here to help, and we're here to give back to the community. And so it's not like anybody has to reinvent the wheel here. It's already here.
So another question I might have, Michael, is, and that's an excellent point, and education is an excellent point. And I haven't been to the town website looking at the tree committee page. Presumably you have a page, and perhaps, and I don't know whether it already has like links and the best practices, because you're raising some really good points in education, and whatever your tree committee page has, it maybe can include, if it doesn't already, some of that information.
Yeah, every situation is unique. That's what I found in the tree business here. I think Cindy will back me on that one. We've got some generic stuff primarily about pests and things to look for. You know, the what's it called? The spotted lanternfly is something that we've got listed, you know, on our site. But we're available, and there's contact information there. And again, every situation is unique, and you'll get a personal visit from one of us. I mean, you know, we're serious about this, and you know, we want to see this work and happen, and the town is only going to benefit from it all the way into the next 2 generations or beyond. So.
Okay, so a question for Bill. So getting back to the points the tree committee raised about maintenance, and something comes up that's got to be done to the trees on town property. So what is the process? Is it highway handles that, or is it maintenance that handles that? And it
is maintenance and highway working together. It's typically maintenance's responsibility, but they do need to get help from highway, and we have a tree company, LW, that comes in and assists periodically. There were a number of trees that were taken down. The upper parts were taken down. They will be going back this week or next. That spruce tree at the community center. There's a number of trees along the fence at the cemetery where they left the stumps up high because they didn't have the time when they were working on it. They wanted to get the bulk of it down, and then the guys had to go into paving. So the paving, hopefully today, was all finished up, and I expect them later this week or early next week to be getting back to those trees.
Great.
Okay.
Everybody hear me?
Yes, very low.
Highway, I know, has access to a stump grinder. I don't know, I can't remember if they own part of it, but there's one that goes on the arms of a bobcat that they have used.
Yes.
They do have one, yes.
Yeah.
It's ours.
Wow.
Okay, well, that's good to
And
know.
in fact, there's a stump on the village green that's
Yep.
They had a stump grinder. I believe the old one's no longer good. They bought a new Bobcat this spring, and the stump grinder attachment came with it. I believe it was late in getting here, but they do have it at this point, I believe.
There are stumps in the little park where the Chamber of Commerce is as well.
Mhm.
We can give you a whole list of stumps.
Okay.
Just my quick question. Well, one comment I wish I had thought about, but Michael's right. There's some pictures of the town in the 70s, basically, where the canopy is just covers Mill Hill, for example. Long before Central Hudson got involved, I think. But Michael, I think I mentioned this to you before, and I think it was from Cindy years ago. I believe the Historical Society does have a lot of that old information, which was a survey of where the trees were. I believe, Cindy, if I'm correct. It's been a while since I looked at it, but it's still there, I believe. It'll be there. You mentioned at the beginning, Michael, or Cindy, 5 shade trees going in. Where are they going?
They're proposed for, we're putting one at the right side entrance to the Mountain View parking lot. There's a swale of grass there next to the stream. We're replacing, we're putting 2 trees in front of what used to be the old post office. It's now Overlook Bakery. 2 tall, thin trees, because there's a lot of, there's a big dead tree right there right now. And there's also a lot of wires in that spot. So we're going to put 2 tall, narrow trees there. And then we're waiting to see if we get permission to replace a tree that was taken down at the Christ Lutheran Church, which is at the top of Mill Hill Road. Now that's a story where that was a protected tree. I'm not sure why it came down exactly, if it was old and dead or if they just took it down. But that was a tree that was protected by the tree law. And I'm pretty sure the tree law says if you take a tree down, we should be allowed to put another tree up.
I do have the paperwork. They were actually supposed to plant 3 to 4 trees. They talked about red buds. I think 2 trees did get planted in there. One has died, one is still there.
Yeah, they put a couple tiny sticks in.
And I do have a call into them. The minister has been away on vacation, so I'm hoping that in the next week or so we have a conversation.
Right. So I'm waiting to hear. I mean, this grant says we should hear by the end of this month about whether we're accepted on all 5 trees or not. So I'll start with that information, and then we'll have a little bit of time to see if they're going to let us plant a tree there or not. And if not, it won't happen, and we won't recover. We just won't ask for that amount of money from the grant.
Hey, Cindy, can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
You were talking 5 trees. I only got 4. I got 1 at Mountain View, 2 at the old post office, and 1 at the Christ Lutheran.
Good math. It's only 4.
That's why she's the town clerk.
Oh, so it's only 4? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, I got one simple last question. Not simple. As you look down the road 30 years, though, with climate change and everything, what do you make adjustments in the types of trees you may be bringing in?
I think Cindy can answer that one.
Yes, I'm a little bit leaning a little bit away towards doing a lot of maples.
Right, that's what I was wondering about.
We're putting in some all the trees that we're putting in are native trees,
Right.
but I always like to fit the tree to the situation. Yeah. So, it's about how big of a tree can I fit into a spot and get away with it, so that in 50 years, we do have a nice canopy over the road and some shade for people, not just little tiny flowering trees that are 10 feet tall. And, I also like to select trees maybe that have tiny leaves or compound leaves, so that they're not too much of too much work for the property owners to clean up. So there's a lot of different thoughts that go into it. Yes.
Yeah. What's wrong with maple trees? Why are you shying away from maple trees?
Aren't they actually migrating?
They're not. There's nothing wrong with maple trees. There's a lot of maple trees in the town already. And, you know, in theory, you know, if the winters aren't as warm, the maple trees might not do as well. So I'm just trying to kick a little diversity into the canopy that we have.
Yeah. Okay. And just let people know who joined after weeks. I know people had trouble getting connected here. So one of Michael's first asks was $1,000 in the budget when we do the budget for next year. So since people may have joined after Michael made that ask, I just wanted to repeat it just to make sure the whole board heard that ask, because we're doing budget pretty soon, I think.
That's why I wanted to get this in before you guys got working on it.
Hey, Michael and Cindy, just one more question, and I promise I'll shut up for the rest of the night. Well, maybe. But are you looking for trees to be purchased, or are you looking for trees that can be transplanted from another piece of property in town that would be native to another area?
Well, Cindy's got experience.
I am not interested in digging up trees to
Okay.
move.
Okay.
It's way too laborious.
Okay.
And not as easy to do.
Right.
So in general, the trees that we've been getting, and it's kind of ironic because every time I go to buy a tree, they're on sale. And, you know, if I wanted to plant like a big $300 tree, I can't even find them because they're all on sale for $200 now. So.
Oh. There you go. Okay. No, I was just wondering. I know there's a lot of trees around here, but I didn't know what the difficulty was as transplanting them from one area to another.
It's a lot unless you're doing little seedlings. And if you're doing little seedlings, then you have to babysit them like kindergarten children to make sure that they get up. So
oh, I know. I did 12-inch dogwood, and I've been on my property for 25 years. They're finally about 11 feet tall, 25 years later. Beautiful.
Yeah.
But it was a long wait.
Yeah.
The blight resistant elms are excellent choices for the urban environment. And we've planted a few of those around town, and they're all doing very well. They seem very happy. So, you know, there are trees, and the state encourages, you know, native species. I mean, they really, that's what they want. You know.
But yeah, they don't want you to bring in it. We don't need any more bugs around here.
Or Bradford pears.
I would also say that diversity is an important thing because we don't know what the future brings.
Yeah.
Okay. I understand.
Okay. Thank you very much. We will prepare an email for you tomorrow, and I'll send it to Ashley, and there'll be pictures attached to give you just a few pictures to kind of show you what, you know, what's going on in town now, and, you know, a couple of areas that really need focus, and we can you know, go forward working with Bill on this, but there are a couple of hot spots right now that need some immediate attention. So thank you again for your time.
Thank you,
Michael, Cindy,
everybody.
Gay, and Carol. Thank you very much for your time and efforts.
And Michael,
I'll wait your email tomorrow, Michael.
Okay.
Michael, I always like to tell people, make sure you send whatever you're sending to the board to me, because if you want to include it in the minutes, you're going to go down in history one day. And they'll be in my minutes.
We'll go down one day.
History or infamy?
We're not putting Michael in history. No.
Oh, no.
Hey, from the historian himself.
I don't even include myself. No.
There you go.
Especially McKenna.
Okay,
well,
so we did have a public hearing scheduled today. That got canceled. There was back and forth between the different organizers of the block party. And I think they were having a hard time deciding what they were going to actually end up doing. So it was decided that we would not move forward with the public hearing. We would not move forward to close the road at this point. I think they're still going to do a couple of yard sales there, but it's going to be downsized. And I told them that that there seemed to be enthusiasm from the board about this idea. So I encouraged them to possibly come back next year and a little earlier, and we would work on doing something like this. So that's why that got canceled. And with that, I'll move into a couple of resolutions.
Bill, can I just bring up one thing on Pine Grove?
Yes.
Because we did get that other email about traffic and speeding and that type of thing. And I certainly sympathize with those folks living because I live in the village. And I think at some point, not tonight or whatever, but at some point, if we can draw attention to these types of issues, I think it'd be real important.
Helen Kimmett is on, and I believe she wanted to speak later on at Public Be Heard. So
Okay, great.
that will come up.
Okay, thank you.
And you know, I'll just, sitting here at the office, I get these calls on a regular basis. I got somebody from Elwyn Lane called me today with issues. They were somewhat ongoing, so I was able to have the police go over. I don't know how that ended up, whether somebody was ticketed or anything like that. It is a little frustrating because if the police aren't there in the moment, sometimes it's difficult to get the enforcement with the traffic and whatnot. But, you know, the other thing I will say is that as I get complaints, I do move these speed signs that we have from place to place. And I do think that, you know, there's some small benefit. Also, I wasn't going to announce it, but I will, because I haven't had opportunity to exactly find out. But I did get a report back from DOT, or a letter back from DOT that says they're lowering the speed limit on Glasgow Turnpike, but only from Rock City Road to Upper Bird Cliff. And I thought it was my understanding we were studying a much bigger section. But, you know, I will say that a big thank you out to legislator Jonathan Hepner, who worked with me, and Tom Jackson from the county in pushing this through, because I don't think the state really was of a mind to reduce this. So it did take a little bit of pushing. And hopefully at our next meeting, I'll have a little bit better understanding as to why the rest of Glasgow Turnpike was not limited, that it was just that one small section. It probably had something to do with sight lines along that area, and the houses are a little bit closer to the road and closer together. So
what is the new speed limit?
the new speed limit will be down to
35 miles an hour.
35 from 40. Yeah, 35. So it's a 5 mile an hour drop.
It's a help.
Yes, it's a help. So with that, let me go on to resolutions.
Okay.
Be it resolved to amend the 2021 budget, increasing revenue A04089.00000 by $96,217.89 and increasing expenses A08686.10000 by $96,217.89.
I'll second for purpose of discussion.
This is for the American funding. This is for accounting purposes, the rescue funding.
Gotcha.
So we're going to be doing a lot of transfers between now and the end of the year, as we spend monies. I'll probably have the next one next week. So these are what
It
these
would be
transfers.
it might be helpful if you put that in the resolution, because Laura's right. I don't think anybody understood exactly what was going on here.
Okay, well, I'll amend it.
Where the money was coming from or what it was about.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
And I'll second Richard's, what do we call that? He's making a friendly amendment. I'll
Well-
second Richard's friendly amendment.
It's not that friendly. That's all right.
It wasn't friendly at all. Be it resolved to promote Cody Chase to working supervisor grade 4.5 effective September 6th, 2021 at a rate of $25.09 per hour.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Be it resolved to promote George Williams to mechanic/HMEO grade 5 effective September 6th, 2021 at a rate of $26.33 per hour.
I'll second that.
All in
Yay.
favor? Aye.
Aye.
Did somebody say something?
Me, I did said yay,
Oh, yay. Thank you, Jackie.
yay.
Be it resolved to hire Anthony Harkins to the Woodstock the Town of Woodstock Highway Department at a grade 4 HMEO at a rate of $23.72 effective October 4th, 2021.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Be it resolved to appoint Kristen Kessler to the Complete Streets Committee.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ashley, public be heard?
I just have Helen.
Helen, are you there?
I'm here.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And I'm here with Shonda Bradford. And we're representing the residents in Pine Grove Street. But Shonda's going to speak first, and then I'm going to continue on.
Okay.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm going to read from my notes so I don't forget anything. My name is Shonda Bradford, and I moved to Pine Grove Street in October of 2020. I absolutely love Woodstock. I love my neighborhood, and I love my neighbors. I feel so very fortunate to have landed in such a wonderful community of caring people. However, I am appalled and frightened by the dangerous driving habits in my neighborhood. I always imagined that my 9-year-old son would be able to ride his bike and scooter along our street, but that is impossible with the current traffic situation. As you may know, there was a horrific hit and run a few months ago that resulted in the death of a puppy. I personally witnessed the devastation in the aftermath of the hit and run. I rode to the vet with my neighbor as her dog lay dying on the floor of the car. Sadly, Cosmic didn't make it. But if there was one good thing that came out of her death, it's that it brought the entire neighborhood together. When the neighbors learned of the hit and run, they were horrified. We couldn't believe that someone would hit a living being in broad daylight on our street and simply keep on driving. All we could think of is that this could have been one of our children or one of our grandchildren. Since this incident, neighbors have shared so many stories of near-miss accidents between pedestrians and cars. It has become apparent to us that this problem is out of control. And if we don't act now, we will be mourning the death of a person and not a dog. Thank you. And my neighbor Helen has more information to share. Thanks.
Okay. I've lived on the corner of Deming and Pine Grove Street for over 30 years now. And I've seen a big increase in the amount of traffic using Pine Grove Street. And it's often used as a shortcut for people to avoid the congestion on Mill Hill. It's also, Pine Grove's a really narrow street. There's no sidewalks. And every day we're facing threatening speed drivers who often yell at pedestrians on their way out to get out of their way, or other drivers who they feel are driving too slowly. There's a lot of road rage seen here. Also, cars are parked on past the stop sign on Deming Street and on the front of Pine Grove. So when people are trying to get out, they have to go onto the other side of the road. And lastly, people who are coming down, when drivers come down Tannery Road, if there's nothing coming, they come straight across and go past my house at a very high speed. So the residents feel that we must take action to slow down the traffic for pedestrian safety. And this should include decreased speed limit reflective signage, a stop sign at the bottom of Tannery Road at the intersection with Pine Grove Street. We should establish and post parking restrictions and possibly speed bumps. And so we don't know, but we think if the process for discussing our concerns and requests is to present at a public hearing, we're asking if it could be added to the town board agenda.
What I would suggest we start with is possibly getting together with the New York State DOT. While they don't have oversight over those roads, they might be able to give us some suggestions. And so tomorrow I'll see if I can't get one of their traffic engineers to come out and meet with the public. And Helen, I have your contact, so I'll use you as the contact, and you can let the rest of the neighbors know
That's good.
This is
when that meeting's going to happen.
and I sympathize.
I think
live
we
on
all
the-
do, yeah.
Well, we all do, but living in the village on dead end part of Near Street, I had a car go by my house today, had to be doing 35 miles an hour in a one lane dead end piece. It's marked dead end, two signs say dead end. He then backed out backwards, about almost the same speed. It's happening more, as Helen says, happening more and more to us who live in the village. And yes, we do. I got to apologize, Helen, but over the years, I tend to take Pine Grove to get through the village.
As long as you drive slow.
I drive slow. But another problem isn't just speed; it's the parking, and often the illegal parking.
Yes.
That narrows the road even further for walkers and for cars, obviously.
Mhm.
And I don't know about Pine Grove. There was a car parked right on the turn as you go towards coming from my way towards CVS, and I met another car coming around the turn, and I had so those are enforceable things that we could be doing.
Right.
Here on Near Street, we have the legal park. We have parking on both sides of the street, which makes Near Street into one-way street. I mean, a one-lane street now, and you can't get through. And it's not supposed to be parking on the one side. So those are enforceable issues that can at least bring a police presence around once in a while, and maybe a speeder goes through at the same time. But I think there's more we can do for the side streets, Bill, and the rest of the board than we are doing beyond just speed. And so speed is a major factor.
This isn't a competition, but I will tell you, so I live on Hutchin Hill on the first house, and it's every bit as bad out there. And it was, when I moved in 30 years ago, it wasn't quite so bad, but by the time I had my son, who was 23 now, it had gotten pretty bad, to the point where the neighbors, another set of parents across the street, my wife and I put together a letter and went door to door. And that had some effects, but that's a dead end street where it was the neighbors and their guests that were a problem. You obviously, it's not your neighbors that are creating the problem here. But Hutchin Hill has become a raceway too. And what I get is the cars will fly past going up to Overlook Mountain Trail, fly past McDaniel's intersection, hit the brakes, turn around in my driveway and back up. So, unfortunately, it just seems to be getting worse and worse. My other pet peeve, I'm going to vent now, is all the folks doing K-turns and U-turns and 9-point turns.
I was going to say the same thing.
On Mill Hill, and it just boggles my mind that they're that oblivious to everything else that's going on.
Yeah.
That, their life is the only thing that's important at the moment. But
the other thing, there are no speeds. Nobody knows what the speed is on this road. There's nothing saying what the speed is, and I think it should be lowered anyway. Obviously with people speeding along, but I don't know who would be responsible for that. How would we go about
that? Would be the town. So one of the things I would like to do is get DOT, and this would be a courtesy call on DOT's part to come out and give us some friendly advice. But that's where I think the best place for us to start. And again, Pine Grove is not the only street that's a problem, but you folks seem to be coalesced in a group. So I think if we start there and find some solutions, they're bound to work in other places.
That would be good.
I will say that the speed bumps are not really a realistic option because of the plow trucks. But short of that, the speed signs and parking we should address.
Could we ask Clayton, maybe just for a couple of weekends, just have the police force, men and women of the police force, pay a little more attention to the side streets in terms of at least parking, illegal parking, and that type of thing. And hopefully they'll catch a speeder or two at the same time.
I will pass that along, but I also would encourage both you, Richard, and you, Helen and Shonda, if there are illegally parked cars there, call and get the police to come out. I do know that there was an issue a couple of weeks ago on Sled Hill where the officer went out and wrote 4 or 5 tickets. I think he also wrote a ticket for the fellow that called to complain. But be that as it may, please You know, we're a small town with 2 officers on typically, and it's hard for them to be everywhere. But certainly, if they're not involved in something, they can get over there. If it's not immediately, you know, when they clear up their call and get over there and possibly write some tickets.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
we do that.
yeah, because I agree, and I was certainly very familiar with the Sled Hill situation because there's so much going on in town. And even though I know, Bill, when you were spearheading the whole Mill Hill repaving and all those nice parking spaces along Mill Hill got added in, but still there's so many people coming into town, they're looking for places to park. And I really have a huge thank you, which I haven't actually thanked Scott Bonestell yet, but I need to give him a huge thank you because he put up no parking signs on Sled Hill because there were cars parked totally in the lane. I think that's what Richard's talking about too. Cars are parked, about 3 or 4 cars in a row parked totally in the lane, making Sled Hill a 1-lane road, causing all these safety hazards we're talking about. And Scott was wonderful in putting up no parking signs kind of after the fact, so that it's very clear to people now, don't park there. Not only they should be smart enough to know you don't take up a whole lane with your car and make a 2-lane road a 1-lane road because there's so many cars parked. People should know that, but the signs are put up now that should help do that. So you know, not that we want more signs all over Woodstock, but you know, sometimes you need a sign to tell people what, you know, what they maybe should already know. But I know signage, I think, will help Sled Hill.
Cooper Lake Road, we need a sign that says you cannot take your half out of the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Bill,
Yes.
can you hear me?
Yes.
So on Pine Grove Street, people that live in Woodstock pretty much know how to get around town without going through the main part of town. And Pine Grove is one of the worst scenarios as far as people parking alongside that road. I really think that if we're going to get the state DOT to come in, they really need to measure when a car's parked along the right-hand side of the lane, what is left for traveling, and there is only 1 lane. So
yes.
I think, and this is just my own personal opinion, I think no parking, period. You know what? If you have a house on Pine Grove Street, figure out where you're going to park your cars. If you're going to rent that house out for 4 people, three people are going to have to find a parking spot someplace else. And it's just crazy going through there because you cannot drive 2 cars at the same time down that road, either on, you know, going past the stream or going on the side by CBS.
Becky's right. Helen, do you know if there are short-term rentals on Pine Grove that are parking on the road?
There are short-term rentals, but I don't know how many of them are actually parking on the road.
I don't think they really are.
No.
I think they all have driveways.
Yeah.
Okay.
They do
Yeah,
have driveways,
there's
but
one
they only
section
have
towards
one
the turn that
driveway.
there seems to be cars all the time. That's why I wondered.
Yeah, I think the problem in the evening is Sylvia's. They come down here and park down here.
Okay.
And then, you know, people that walk around park on the street, you know.
So this is just folks coming to town to take a walk through town that are parking there.
Exactly.
Or restaurants. They'll use the restaurants because it's good news for the restaurants. They're so popular. But there certainly is a parking problem from all that's going on in town.
Yes.
My side on Deming Street here, I'm out on my porch in Deming Street, they're parked all the way down here and then they're parking around here. So it's impossible to walk sometimes.
Okay. So I will give you a call tomorrow. Well, actually, I'll call DOT first, Helen, and then get a hold of you. And I'll make it so that you have a couple of days to get all the neighbors together. We'll set something up maybe for next week.
That would be great.
Also, I'll just mention that I have started to look at our traffic and parking law. The chief's got a couple of issues with various spots. So this is a perfect time to be having this conversation.
Good. Thank you.
I want to thank Chandra and Helen for bringing this up tonight. I think it's an important, basically quality of life type of situation that we need to deal with.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for hearing us.
You're welcome. Okay, do we have anybody else on? Okay.
Hey, Bill, is it possible I could, a little request and a comment?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. This is Frank Amy.
Oh, okay.
First of all, I'm glad you are addressing the speeding issue on our road. You're very aware of it.
Oh, it's terrible.
I thought I was going to get run over by a BMW almost sideways coming up around by my house Sunday.
Mhm.
And then he, flipped me to bird and he wanted to fight over it.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. But anyway, thank you for addressing that.
You're welcome.
And second of all, I see that there are a lot of people in different ways that seem to be very concerned about the environmental welfare of this town. Do you think it's possible that you could give like updates to everyone, not just like to me when I request it, because you do give me updates on the progress on the 10 Church Road dump and all that, so people are aware of what's going on in their backyard?
Okay, so I know that we're going to court. I believe it's next week. After that, I'll let you know where we're at.
Well, I know
actual-
you'll let me know. I'm fine with that.
The last email I sent out, I sent out to 6 or 7 people.
Yes, no, I understand that, and they received it.
Yep.
And as you well know, we sent a lot of information to the attorney.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and but the big thing is, I just think that other people should know about it instead of this little group here. So maybe if you just made a comment like you just did about the speeding and everything on the meetings, so other people could know what's going on with it. That way they'd be involved and know what's happening here.
Well, as soon as we have the court hearing, I'll make an announcement at the next board meeting.
That would be great. I mean, just updates on the board meetings would only have to take you about 2 minutes to let everybody know what's going on. And I think people would appreciate that and, just like to know what's going on in their backyard.
No problem, Frank. And listen, fingers crossed. I think the next proceeding is the trial.
Well, yeah, it is. And I just hope the right thing is done, because this can't be let go, because it sets a precedent.
Right, absolutely.
And I'm worried about my well, and you should be worried about yours too.
I've said that all along. We're all neighbors out there. You're absolutely right.
Thank you, and I appreciate you. If you'd keep everybody updated, that would be great.
You're welcome, Frank.
All right, have a good night.
You too. Okay, any other comments, questions?
I just want to say that's the longest conversation I ever had about trees where nobody used the term, where no one used the term board feet.
No one used the term what?
Board feet.
Oh.
Also, I have videos of the tree canopy pre-World War II.
Really?
If you want to go.
Were there any?
What?
I'd love to see that.
Were
Tell
there
us,
any
Richard.
trees?
Richard was there, right?
There was lots
Ha
of
ha
trees.
ha ha ha.
There was-
You're a regular riot tonight, there, right?
I know.
I'm glad you're contributing to the conversation.
Hey,
much.
listen,
You're very
listen,
welcome.
hit my head one more time and all bets are off.
I just let me mention though, on that parking business, I wanted to clarify, the reason I mentioned STRs is STR law requires a parking space for each bedroom. So if people are parking on the streets with an STR, that's not permissible.
And I know that Butch has denied a few STRs because they were not, they didn't have the required parking. So any of the permitted ones should have the necessary parking. Now, does that mean that they're not getting overfilled with people, or,
Well,
you know,
if neighbors see that happening, then, that's another thing that,
that's a violation?
We also should get Clayton and Butch together, because I've called up there about 3 or 4 times when there's been garbage spread out all over the road. And the police go up there, but they don't write anything up. So Butch doesn't have anything to issue a violation with. And I don't really know what to do about that. So.
Okay.
well, that's coming forward once we get through all this oversight committee everything, but those types of changes are coming forward.
Yeah, I was
where
gonna
we
say, I
can-
don't
we
think the
connect- where we
police have the
connect-
ability
hold on,
to
where
write
we
anything
connect
up at
the
this
police
point.
with- Where we connect the police with Butch.
Yeah.
Although I have noticed in a couple police reports, STR reports being noted now by the police, because
Yep.
we talked about this once earlier.
We talked about that a little at the last department head meeting, and I know that they were making some tweaks and changes to make that happen.
Yeah.
So, Urena, you just mentioned something about creating a hotline. We have dispatch 2422 679 2422. That's the number to call. So, I mean, that in effect is our hotline. When people have issues, they should be calling there, whether it's parking or garbage or anything else. And, you know, I guess I get a little frustrated over that because I keep getting a lot of calls from folks about people speeding or garbage or anything like that. And it doesn't do any good to call me. You've got to call dispatch and you've got to get the police involved. And, you know, that's the process. I can certainly reach out to dispatch and let them know, and I do. But, you know, without a complaint, it can be a little difficult. And for me, it's only secondhand knowledge.
It's after the fact. A
Yeah.
lot of times people are gone.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, but the garbage lays in the road. There must be, that can't be okay.
no, and I know that the police in different instances have gone up and looked through the garbage and found names. So
Yeah,
where
but
did this happen, Lauren? Is it a specific spot?
Yeah, it's 3918 Route 212 in Lake Hill. And it's at least once a week, or it was.
Where's that?
I think it's 3918. If you come out the other end of Cooper Lake Road, you turn right towards town.
Yeah.
It's like across from the post office almost. From the Lake Hill post office.
Okay, I'll inquire about that. See if there's.
I know people that have stopped and picked it up. I stopped and kicked it out of the road. I'm not going to pick it up. I kicked it out into their driveway.
Mm-hmm.
And I called the police 3 times and they sent somebody up to look at it. But if they don't write anything up, Butch has nothing to deal with.
Right.
And
Okay.
I can't believe that there's no.
Yeah, there has to be a violation issued. There has to be a ticket of some sorts to act, for us to act from the STR end.
Urena is asking if someone were to call dispatch, I don't mean to interrupt, but real quick, is it anonymous?
No.
No? Okay.
So
I mean, you don't have to leave your name and number, but without a name and number, it makes it sometimes more difficult to enforce.
So what I mean is like, I'm Urena. So what I mean is like, I'm a renter and I'm renting someplace and I see a violation of short-term rentals next to me or my neighbor or where I'm living, or I'm passing it by, you know, or something like that. I don't want to say anything because I could lose my place of residence. But if there was an anonymous hotline, I think more people might be willing to mention. I don't know. But I understand it. I don't want it to turn into like people just being bitter and mean to their neighbors. That's not what I mean either. Right.
And I think we do want to try and avoid that. Listen, you know, you can always call the building department because they're the ones dealing with the STRs. And, you know, if Butch can go out and see something, you know, maybe he can do something about it.
Bill.
It frequently helps to have a complaint.
Bill.
Right.
Yes,
when dispatch comes, if they do send someone out, an officer out, they're not reporting and saying, we got a call from
Bill McKenna
at, you know, such and such road.
They don't go out and announce it.
That we got a call, right? So if someone does ask, the police can just say, we got a call from someone in the neighborhood, right?
Right.
Correct. Yeah. But if they need to prosecute it, it may become critical.
Okay.
It may not. They may, you know, listen, with our noise ordinance, the way we set that up is that, you know, typically they get a call, they'll go and say, look, we got a complaint that the music is loud. Most of the time it's turned down and that's it. The problem is solved and, you know, no names are mentioned. But occasionally it becomes more contentious and a ticket gets issued, and then there may need to be witnesses called. So that's where names could come into play. So, okay. With that, I will move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good night.
Maria Elena, thank you for starting the meeting. I'll see you guys next week. And Reggie, thank you. You were the only one who came today so I could see their smiling face in person.
I know. I saw
I
him
didn't
on my
want you
way
to
out.
suffer, Bill. I didn't want you to suffer.
I smiled.
Actually, no, you didn't smile. You were here this morning. That's true.
I smile
But
because I
Bill, who would
left.
you rather now? Less.
Good night, Ashley.
You were far more
Good
pleasant.
night,
Reggie.
Jackie.
Goodbye. Good night, John Boy.
Good
Good night,
night.
Mary Ellen.